Case summary. Case citation. Manchester Diocesan Council for Education v. Commercial and General Investments Limited, 1970, AC 621 Court. House of Lords, UK. Background facts. Claimant: Manchester Diocesan Council for Education. Defendant: Commercial and General Investments Limited. The Manchester Diocesan Council for Education (MDE) leased a property from Commercial and General Investments Limited. The lease included a provision that allowed MDCE to terminate the lease upon 6 months' notice. Subsequently, MDCE exercised this termination right and vacated the premises, believing they were entitled to a refund of rent paid in advance for the period following termination. Commercial and General Investments Limited disputed this and claimed that MDC was not entitled to any refund. Argument. Claimant's argument. MDC argued that they were entitled to a refund of rent paid in advance for the period after termination because they had vacated the premises and no longer had beneficial use of the property. Defendant's argument. Commercial and General Investments Limited argued that under the terms of the lease, MDC had no right to a refund of rent paid in advance. They contended that rent paid in advance was non-refundable regardless of whether the tenant continued to occupy the premises. Final outcome and legal justification. The House of Lords ruled in favour of Commercial and General Investments Limited, holding that MDC was not entitled to a refund of rent paid in advance for the period following termination of the lease. The court emphasized that the lease agreement did not provide for a refund of prepaid rent upon termination and that such terms were enforceable. Legal justification. Interpretation of lease terms. The court interpreted the lease agreement strictly according to its terms. The lease did not contain any provision for the refund of prepaid rent upon termination, which meant that MDC had no contractual entitlement to such a refund. Freedom of contract. The decision underscored the principle of freedom of contract, allowing parties to negotiate and agree upon terms that govern their relationship, including the payment and refund of rent. Doctrine of privity of contract. ADIA's entitlement to refund was constrained by the terms agreed upon between MDC and Commercial and General Investments Limited and did not extend beyond the contractual rights established in the lease agreement. Key concept implication. The case highlights the importance of clear and unambiguous lease agreements in governing the rights and obligations of landlords and tenants. It emphasizes the freedom of contract and the enforceability of lease terms as agreed upon by the parties. Key learnings. Parties should carefully negotiate and draft lease agreements to clearly specify terms regarding rent payment and refunds. Courts uphold the principle of freedom of contract, respecting the terms agreed upon by parties in lease agreements. Understanding lease agreements helps in managing expectations and responsibilities of both landlords and tenants in commercial property transactions.